ever do. And today I want to talk about something a little bit different, a little bit personal, I guess, but something I think that quite a few rat owners can relate to, and that is the fact that I am now completely allergic to my pet rats. I'm going to be talking about the things that you can do if you're also in the same boat as me and spontaneously become allergic to your rats, why you might be allergic to them, and the steps you can take afterwards. So after the past few months, I have noticed that anytime I spend time with my rats, and also the fact that they're in my room 24/7, my eyes are swollen, my chest is tight, I'm sneezing, I'm coughing, I'm itchy, all of that. Mainly my eyes, they were very swollen. At first I just put it down to general allergies. I would have allergy medication every morning but it wouldn't do anything. And then that's when I went to the doctors and they said, "Are you around any rodents and how often are you around them?" "All the time, Mr. Doctor Guy." After some research I found out that I am most likely allergic to my rats. Well, not themselves, the pee and the proteins in their pee, which is what a lot of rat owners come to the conclusion of. As we know, rats produce urine all the time. They themselves do not smell, but their pee reeks, and that is because they pee on anything and everything they can get their hands on. They're rodents, so that's how they mark territory and tell all the other rats in their cage that they're the big boss. In their urine, saliva, and dander, there are small particles that become airborne when the cage bedding is moved, when the rats move, when their cage is cleaned, or when urine dries and becomes dust. These proteins act as allergens, meaning the immune system recognizes them as foreign and then reacts. According to studies, urine proteins in rats is what causes most rodent-related allergies. I love my rats to bits, as you will all know and can probably tell by the fact I'm making this video. They are my life, and if you watch this channel, you can tell they are my babies, okay? But I also have to take care of me, which means I have to reduce my exposure to the allergen source, which leads to them being evicted from my bedroom. Okay, so let's dive into what actually triggers the allergies. Like I said, the main culprit is proteins in the rat's urine, and to a lesser degree, dander and saliva. One of the key ones in rats is called rat N1, which is a urinary protein that gets aerolized when urine and bedding turns to dust. Again, like I said, things that can worsen your exposure is cleaning the cage and moving around all their bedding. For me, it was probably cleaning their litter tray every day. That was the main thing that I realised I had this rash. It's still there, it's kind of scabby now from where I've itched it so much. Anytime I'm around rats, even in college, this patch on my hand comes up all red and bumpy, and I'm guessing because my right hand is my dominant hand, I'm going to be doing more things with my right hand, and that's probably why my wrist has come up. My wrist here is also sore, it's kind of dried up, I've healed it for the most part, but this again, when I'm reaching in for stuff, the rats are brushing against my hand, and obviously rats are going to have a bit of their pee on them. They're animals, they're walking around in their litter tray all day, you know, it's going to happen. So this comes up quite a lot. Poor ventilation in the room, which I don't think is the case for me. I would always have my window open and the air purifier, but poor ventilation is because the particles settle and stay in the air, they're not going anywhere. Before you fully commit to kicking them out of your room, open a window and maybe even invest in an air purifier. We already had one luckily, but clearly that wasn't the case for me. The number of rats, the cage size, the bedding you're using, obviously the smaller the cage, the less surface area there is for them to pee on, so it's all just going to be everywhere. The bigger the cage, maybe the less urine is being scattered everywhere. They might have their own specific favourite spot, and again, obviously more rats, more pee. Bedding or substrate type. Some beddings are quite dusty anyway, so you could be allergic to the bedding, but things like paper-based bedding, they're absorbent. Hemp is quite absorbent, but if you're using something that isn't absorbent, the pee's just kind of settling on top and not being absorbed, which might be another issue if you're going in reaching for stuff, you're touching their pee all the time. So in short, even though rats are very clean and I cleaned them all the time, the environment still allowed those proteins to linger. So my solution was move the rats out of my room into the spare room. However, the spare room is between my brother's rooms, and my brothers have asthma, and living in between rats was making their asthma set off. So the best bet now was to move them into the garage with all their supplies. Strangely enough, our garage has a radiator and we never really understood why. Clearly it was meant to be. They have a day and night cycle, as there's not many windows in there, so they know when it's morning and night as they're crepuscular. That is very important that they have a day and night cycle. Their air purifier is in there, and I'm able to give them daily interaction as I always would do. After I moved my rats out of my room, I deep cleaned my room. We got the carpet cleaner and just sucked any dirt and debris left over out of there. And that night when they weren't out of my room, I woke up the next morning and realised my eyes aren't stuck together anymore. It was definitely the rats. For me, I don't really like wearing gloves when I clean my rats, simply because 1, I don't really like wearing gloves anyway, and 2, the rats don't like my gloves. Rats have something about latex gloves. They just try to eat them. They attack my hands when I wear them, so I'm not gonna wear gloves. However, I always scrub my hands before and after cleaning. Obviously, I do that either way, but extra precaution because I'm allergic to them. And also, when I spend time with them, I wear old clothes or something that I can put on top of my clothes and then take off and throw in the wash. Or what I've been doing, which is a little bit more convenient, is playing with them before I shower, because that way I'm not, changing clothes all the time during the day. I'm just having a set time for them to come out, and then I can shower and be allergen free. Mostly. Because having allergies to your animals is so tricky, you also need to consider the fact that can you still give them the same quality of life as before? And if the answer is no, I can't go in and feed them, I can't clean them, I can't pay them attention, then even though it's horrible and it's, not a nice thing to think about, you might have to consider rehoming. And I want to make sure that you guys know, do not feel guilty for needing to rehome an animal if it is for your benefit and for their benefit. You're not selfish for needing to get rid of that animal if you are very allergic to them. Thankfully, we had options. We had the spare room and now the garage being heated. But if you have a spare room and that doesn't work out and you're thinking, I can stick them in the garage, please consider the fact that you're gonna need heating, like I said, windows, day and night cycle, whatever. You're gonna have to make a space for them, I guess. If you were unable to do that, and all the other things I mentioned, just giving them the basics, attention, cleaning them, feeding them, then maybe it is time to consider rehoming. There's nothing wrong in that. You should not feel guilty for needing to help yourself. As much as we love these animals, as much as I would love for them to still be in my room, and as much as I hate how silent it is now and how silent it is at night, I cannot have them in my room. I was literally swollen. I was so swollen because I was so allergic to them. So yeah, realistically, if you do not have options, please consider rehoming, even if it's just to a friend. That might be a nicer option if you have friends that own rats and you might want to see if they want your rats, because at least you'd still get to visit them. You could get in touch with the person that you're rehoming your rats to so you can still visit them but safely, because in that case you're not around them 24/7. But please do not neglect your rats just because you're allergic to them. It is fine and it's not your fault if you cannot give them the proper care anymore. Just make sure you're going through with the right steps afterwards. This was hard for me because this year they officially turned 1 on the 20th of October. I love my rats. Clearly, hearing them squeak, hearing them play, and like I said, it's so sad in my room that it's so silent at night. I don't hear them scurrying around. I don't get to take pictures of them 24/7 when they're sleeping in their hammocks. It felt cruel to move them away, and me and my mum both felt very guilty that we were kicking them out of my room. But I have to think about myself and the fact that if they stayed in my room, I would have just got worse. Balancing your pet's welfare and your human health is so important for you to also have a healthy relationship with your pet. You don't want to be in constant pain and itching and sneezing all the time because you're so allergic to your animal that you start disliking your animal and then neglecting it for that reason. If you are watching this and you have allergies and you are considering getting rats, or you're immunosuppressed, because that is another reason why we think I might be allergic to them, please look into getting rats. Obviously, I'm not saying that's not an option for you, but make sure you are doing the right thing, because 50% of rat owners say that they become allergic to their pee one way or another, and it's something that I don't really hear being spoken about a lot. And with all that being said, I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope this helped some of you that are in the same boat as I was. If you're interested in seeing more from me, come back next Sunday at 5 PM. Bye bye!